So we're going to do a magazine cover, and this is an example for you to follow along with. So I'm going to create new and choose print, A4 and portrait and create. So I'm going to put the imagery in first before I do the text. So file, place embedded, and I have this image called firewall. I'm just going to zoom out a bit, hold down Option or Alt so that I can scale it up from the center out. Okay, press enter. Then we're going to place an image, so at least an image of a person. That's this one here. Okay, and I just want to make it take up the whole page. Let's just see, and maybe even a bit more, and just move that down. Okay, I also want to flip it, so edit, transform, flip horizontal, and then let's just shift that over a bit. Okay, and then enter to commit that. Alright, so I need to make a selection of this model so that the background firewall can show. So object selection tool, or object select tool, let's just drag over, see what it does. Okay, pretty good. So let's go to select and mask, and quick selection tool, and I'm just going to fix these little bits here that it didn't quite get. Okay, I also just want to go to the refine edge tool and make sure we're getting all of her hair. So I'm just going to paint over that area. And around here as well. Okay, that looks fine. So I'm going to go down to output to new layer with layer mask. Alright, now I want to make this black and white. So I'm going to take that. Actually, I'm not going to make it black and white. I'm going to add a gradient map. So select it, image, adjustments, gradient map, and I want to just edit this gradient map. So I want black on the left, and I want to pick up some of these colors here. So I want this light orangey color. Let's just customize it a little bit more red. Okay, that color is going to be in the middle, and then on this side I'm going to put in a kind of yellow, closer to white color. Okay, so the gradient map is controlling the shading, so I'm going to take the center color over to the left a little bit. Okay, so that's looking good. I like that. Next, I'm going to take the firewall image, and I'm going to go select color range, and I'm going to choose highlights. And before I do that, I'm going to have to hide this layer. So I've just got the firewall layer, select color range, and I want to pick up all of those lighter colors there. So I'm going to say OK, and then Command or Control J to lift that into its own layer. So the selection that I made is lifted into its own layer. I'm just going to call that front fire, and then I'm going to show the layer of the model and take the front fire layer and put it on top of that, and change the blending mode to screen. Okay, so now we've got a really interesting composition, and this is going to be my magazine cover. So I'm going to take all of these pieces and group them, Command or Control G, and I'm just going to call this cover art. Right, so now I can start working with doing my text. So I'm going to place the barcode, place embedded, barcode, and that doesn't need to be very big. That can go down in the corner here. And then I'm going to make my masthead first. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool and I'll set the color to, let's go with, okay, I'm going to click there and I'm going to take my eyedropper and pick one of these dark sort of blood red colors. Okay, and I'm going to draw a rectangle here representing my masthead. Okay, and I'm going to change the opacity of it down a little bit just so you can see a little bit through. Okay, so I've decided to call my magazine Creative Comps, which is a reference to Photoshop compositions. So you can decide whatever your magazine is about and create your own master. So with the text, you can use whatever fonts you want to, and you can apply some degree of typography. So typography is the thoughtful application of text and fonts settings to achieve a certain result. So we're not just going to work with straightforward default settings. Obviously, because I'm recording a video, I can't spend too much time working with the type, but I would suggest that you take the time available to you to just be a little bit thoughtful about working with the text and the typography. Don't just use the straightforward default font. So I'm going to do the title for this cover. So I'm going to take my type tool, make sure it's on the horizontal type tool, and I'm going to set my font to I'm going to choose Helvetica Newer, and I'll choose light, and let's see how this goes. So I'm just going to click and type in here Creative Comps, and I want to adjust it slightly. So for the word comps, I want that to be white, and I also want it to be a little bit heavier, so I'll go with regular. And then for the word creative plus the hyphen, I'm going to go a bit smaller. And I'm going to change the baseline shift so that the text is a bit higher, but lined up with the capital C of comps. Okay, so that's my masthead, and with typography it can really eat up a lot of time if you really play around with it, but in this case I'm just going with a simple layout. So now my type tool, I need to create my first story, so I'm just going to drag a text box here. That's an area text box, and then I just want to reset my character and paragraph settings. So under character, I'm going to go, so the way that you access these is from this button here or from this button up here. Same thing. I'm going to go to the options for character and choose reset character, and then same for paragraph, reset, and then I'm just going to type in my text here. So let me just zoom in a bit. Oops, okay. Okay, so that's one of the things, is when you are in your type tool ready to type, the space bar is going to give you a space and not access the hand tool. So just remember that. So I'm just going to type in here vector masks using shapes to create clean, sharp selections. Okay, I'll select that. I'm going to change it to white. I'm going to go for a variety. I like to stick to the same font, but there's no right or wrong answers. You can have guidelines. Normally 2 to 3 fonts maximum, but I like to actually stick to the same font family and just different variations on it. So I'll go with light here, and just push the size up. And I'm also going to adjust the leading, that's the distance between the lines, so the text is a bit closer together. And then the vector masks part, I want to make bold. Okay. And I'll move that into position down here. I don't want it to interfere with her mouth, but I do want it to be legible. You don't want it to touch the edge of the cover, you want to have a bit of breathing space there. Alright, and I'm going to use the same for the next story title. So Alt, drag, it makes a copy, and I'll put that up here. And to access the editing tools, I'm just going to double click on the T icon in the layer, and then go to paragraph, and I'm going to align this to the right. And then I'm just going to change it to let's put my caps on. And take your sections to the next level. Okay, and in my type menu, okay, there's no change case, so I'm just going to type that again. Okay, so that's my second piece of text, and I'll just also give it a bit of breathing space there. So those are my two story titles. So when you're doing your cover, you're going to use your own selfie, you're going to give it whatever treatment you want to with compositing it with other images and so on. Come up with an idea for your magazine, create a masthead with typography or some kind of treatment to the text, then your two story leaders, and then a competition. So the competition I'm going to put in the corner here. You can decide, go and look at some magazines and have a look at how competitions and calls for action are represented. But I'm just going to use my ellipse tool and shape, and I'll set the fill to this dark red taken from the fire image, and then I'm going to start dragging and hold down Shift and Alt so that it draws a perfect circle from the center out. Okay, so I've got that in the corner, and then I'm going to take my type tool, and you don't want to, if the ellipse layer is selected and I use the type tool, it's going to actually type the text into this area, which is not what I want. So I'm just going to click away to deselect that shape, then take my type tool, and I'm just going to type in here Win Adobe CC subscription. Okay, and I'll go to my character and paragraph settings and center it, and I'm also going to make it bold. And once I've done that, I'm going to press Command or Control T, just rotate it around a bit, about 45 degrees, and just position it in that area there, and then press Enter. Okay, so that's my cover. So this is really good practice for working with typography, point type and area type. So I just want to manage my layers properly. I've got one layer group called cover art. I've got my barcode. I've got this rectangle, and that's at the top, and my Creative Comps text, so that can go together in a group. Command or Control G, and I'll call that masthead. And then these two text stories, I'll group those together and call those stories. And then the ellipse and the win text group together and type win. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and see you next time.